I always say our job's easy. We just remove vegetation, we kill it. We make sure nothing grows in this tank farm, in this parking lot. I think I'm done, I think I can make the business work. My wife said, show me the money. That's all she said. I worked my butt off all summer long, no matter what. You need a tree trim, okay, I'll be there, 80 bucks here. You need this, I didn't care. I was doing whatever I could. My mantra, basically, what I was saying to myself every day is you can't fail. You can't freaking fail.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Landscaper's Guide podcast. Today I'm here with my client Ryan from Turf Concepts Landscaping in Michigan. And Ryan, thanks for coming on the Landscaper's Guide.
I appreciate you having me here.
So Ryan, tell us a little bit, what is Turf Concepts Landscaping and what's the company history?
Well, we're a design build company, basically outdoor kitchens, patios, plantings. We can do large scale projects and we can do smaller ones. You know, we work commercial, we work residential. That's the landscaping side of things. And then we do a lot of maintenance, grass cutting, enhancements to mostly commercial properties. And we're starting to work in more industrial sites too. So just cutting grass, removing brush, spraying. We do a lot of spraying.
And that industrial is an increasing focus for you as you grow the company.
Yeah, it's where we found that you look at the scope of everything that you do, and really we're looking at where do we get a lot of our complaints, where are we putting all of our resources into, and found out that also has the lowest margin. So, you know, with your residentials, you'll get more calls, we don't really get a lot of complaints, but if we do, it's on that side of things, and the margins are lower. So industrial, yes, the risk is much higher, and it's working in industrial sites, it can be dangerous, but we're put all the safety things in place to make sure that all the guys come home at the end of the day. And that type of work, we don't get complaints. We have good communication with them. We're all working as a team. The clients that we have in industrial they have the best teams put together. They have to for what they do. Oil and gas, utilities, they have to have a great team in place. And that's where we fit in, because we have a good team that works, a great team that works with their guys and their personnel. I always say our job's easy. We just remove vegetation, we kill it. We make sure nothing grows in this tank farm or in this parking lot. And we just doing more work, right away work. We just have to make sure there's no vegetation growing on top of a pipeline or, you know, along a fence line. So that's where we're kind of going with a lot of our.
Yeah, so that's where you're heading. Tell us a little quick history of the company. When did it start? You had a partner, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I started cutting grass for money when I was 12, I think. And I've always enjoyed it, and then I've always done it on the side. I was a full-time science teacher, so I have a background in science. I'd get home from teaching, and then I'd cut grass. It was nice, mindless work. You make something look nice that didn't look nice, and you repeat it every week. It was good for what I was doing. And then I got married, started a family, and realized that, geez, the business is a lot of work, teaching's a lot of work, and you know what? Not that a family's a lot of work, but it's important.
It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but you don't look at it as work.
Yeah,
right?
I know what you mean, but the fact is it's a lot. When you have, so how many kids did you have?
I have 2.
Okay.
So that pretty much I knew at some point something's going to give, and it wasn't going to be my family, and it wasn't going to be the business that I've worked hard on. It was going to be teaching. Unfortunately, I really enjoyed teaching, but at the time in Michigan, they basically capped and reduced funding from the state into education. So I kind of got stuck. And I'm like, man, I'm never going to be able to retire at this level. And I'm like, I still have another 10 years left. So my wife said, I told her, I think I'm done. I think I can make the business work. And she's like, show me the money. That's all she said. She's like, show me the money and you can resign. So I worked my butt off all summer long, no matter what. You need a tree trim, okay, I'll be there, 80 bucks here. You need this, I didn't care. I was doing whatever I could. At the end of the summer, I had some money. I said, this money will get us through the entire winter for all our bills. Don't have to worry about anything. She's like, go ahead. So I went on my computer. I typed up like literally 2 sentences of my resignation letter. and hit send and turned all everything off. My phone, my computer, everything. Just because I lit a fuse and I'm like, there we go, we're done. And I didn't look back. But my mantra, basically, what I was saying to myself every day is, you can't fail. You can't freaking fail. Every day I'd say, you can't. What are you doing today to make sure that doesn't happen? It's not like a family depends on it. Before, I was like, if I fail, I could teach. Now, everything is dependent on it. At the time, I have a business partner who is also a full-time teacher. And he is the one, we're like the odd couple. I'm more of the slob, I'll be honest. He was more meticulous about everything. He was the one who, he loved, he'd do designs and everything. And I'm outdoor kind of person. I like being out in the field. I like working with the guys. So it was a good fit for us. And when I was on board full time, he still taught. And we divided our responsibilities. And it worked, but it was always under the premise that, all right, he's going to be out. And he just, heart to heart, he couldn't do it. He enjoys teaching. Business is a bit stressful. And he just told me, and he was honest with me, and I supported his decision. Like, I'm just going to have to go and just teach full time. So here I'm like, oh man, he did all the landscaping design. He did worked with marketing. I had no idea what marketing did.
And he was the one who hired me in Ramblin' Jackson.
Yep. So here I am. I'm like, all right, I got to learn about marketing. So, it's been helpful. The team that I've been working with is super helpful. Books. Read your book, read others, and learning all the marketing strategies. So anyways, now the business is growing. Ever since I stopped teaching, the business has grown. And now we're at a point where we still need to get leads. We're not just working for friends and family anymore. We're not just working for prior clients. And, we're going in a little bit different direction than what we started. So there's a lot of details that I left out, but that's the gist of everything.
Well, I love that moment though, when you decided to go for it and you did, and you never looked back and you said, I can't fail. Where do you think you learned that mentality? Did somebody in your life have that inspired you to think that way?
That's a freaking great question. I think it's a lot of things. It's just, I worked in a school with a lot of kids that were, I would say their disadvantage would be nice, and I've seen them overcome a lot of things where they, honestly, they were dealt a bad hand, and I'm like, man, these guys, a lot of these kids have overcome a lot of, you name it, poverty, death in the family. It just was, tough to watch at times. All I gotta do is make a business successful. Are you kidding me? Hard work, and like any business owner, you're gonna work hard at it. That's your baby, basically. You started. The success of it or the failure of it's based on you. So, but to say one person or one, my dad, my parents would, they'd never let me quit anything. That was huge. Sports, I loved football. I enjoyed it. And I played football at a young age and wasn't super good at it. I ran track. I'm slow as can be. So I'm like, I don't want to run track. I'm not very fast. And I wanted to quit, but they're like, no, you're not quitting anything. You start something, you finish it.
That's how I'm teaching my boys too, is, I've been their coach for basketball and soccer, not because I'm necessarily qualified to be a coach, but I would show up, right? There were no other dads who were like, yeah, I'll show up and coach the team. So I'm like, all right, I will do that. And I showed up every time, on time, and I helped them realize, look, you could quit at the end of you could not join next season, but we're going to finish the season because your team's counting on you. We need to finish the season. We need to finish the commitment, or if they have a gig with a band or whatever, like, well, you got to do the gig, and then we can talk about if you don't want to do the next one. But I think, those things, but that's amazing that you were inspired so much by your students and the adversity that they had faced.
Yeah, it just came to my head right now. I should say it just came to my head, but it's just, everything in perspective. Mm-hmm. We're running a bit, not to minimize what we're doing, but we're running a business, and with the right pieces in place, you can make it successful.
I'm with you on that. Sometimes I'm like, hey, it's kind of simple what we do here. We need to generate some leads. We need to talk to people. Some of them need to hire us. We need to build some websites. We need to do all these other things. I don't know. In some ways it is simple. It is harder though, managing a team and leading people and getting the work done well, charging enough.
Knowing your numbers.
Not having enough, or having the right amount of people, the right amount of expenses to make a profit in order for it to be worthwhile. It is more complicated, but it's also it is kind of that simple. So I wanted to chat with you. One of the shifts that happened for you when your business partner left was around marketing. And you were like, you know what? I don't really like marketing. I trust my business partner. He does the marketing. He handles people. He hired me. Tell me about some of your journey since then and some of the books that you've read and how they've expanded your thinking.
Oh, so it's kind of embarrassing. I'm not a real big book reader. My attention span is very, very short. So, I started reading books and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing with any of this. I don't understand this. I understand marketing. I understand advertising. I don't know what a close rate is. Oh, okay, this is how many calls you got. This is how many, sales. And then, it's all simple, right? But I didn't know any of this stuff. And I started reading books. And actually a friend of mine he's a VP at a pretty big construction company, and they have systems in place. So he's like, man, you got to read this book called Extreme Ownership. And I don't know if you've read it or not, but I read that. So there's like an order of books I would recommend it. But one of them was Die with Zero.
I haven't done that one yet.
Check it's good, but it makes you prioritize things and how to, as you make money, how to make sure that you're not. It doesn't mean you're going to leave nothing to anyone, but it's how to prioritize things and look at money in a different way. Because if we're working, we're all making money at some. That's one of the reasons why, we set up businesses and run them. And there's lots of other reasons, much more noble than money. But so the Die with Zero was good. What was the other one on Buy Back Your Time? Because if you're wasting time, if anyone asks me what the most important thing to me, other than friends and family, I'll answer immediately time. Time. It's simple as that. I don't know how much I have. It's a commodity that you don't know how much you have. So Buy Back Your Time was super helpful. And then I read Extreme Ownership. I've read Good to Great. I've read They Ask You Answer. I've read your book. I've just finished the E-Myth. But I highly recommend. I'm not a book reading kind of
You've read a lot more books than many people listening have, just in that short list. Truly, right? Yeah,
and it is important to read these things. And I'm not a book reader, but I just take a little bit of time each week. It's usually on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at night, and I'm winding down because those days are always crazy for me. And I read an hour, and that's all. Good. It's been super helpful. And then learning how marketing works. I didn't know what inbounding was. I didn't know what outbounding was. I didn't know what SEO is. So when I'm meeting with your team, I'm like, I apologize up front. I'm like, guys, I am a child right now that knows nothing. You're going to have to tell me what the most basic thing is. Yeah. And they did. They went through it, and now I understand most of it. Still learning.
What are some of the breakthroughs or things that, why is it important? You're saying it's important, you got to learn marketing. What are some of the things that it's helped you learn how to do?
Well, first of all, that has nothing to do with my business. Everything's there for a reason. There's, a billboard, okay, and everything has a price for it. Based on how many eyes they're going to see, based on how many houses you're going to get to, based on, you name it, everything is on marketing. And if you think about it, you go to Walmart, and they have their own, what's the great products or great something, it's their own brand. And it's like 30% or 20% cheaper than Dole or Bird's Eye or whatever. I've heard that they make the same product that's in that can as in the same brand name can. That just tells you how much money is spent on marketing. That's the only difference, right? So incredible amount of money goes into marketing. I didn't realize how much that was. That was one thing that was interesting to me. Another thing is how how little changes that you can make can have a big influence on not only just your leads, but sales, you know, and how you approach things. Consistency. Everyone likes consistency, for the most part, unless you're just into chaos.
Right.
But having the same process for us in maintenance, a morning rollout. You know, guys come in, we punch in, we make sure the trucks are fueled, and I need a better system for that. You know, it's not to do with marketing, but having a clean appearance on your truck. Are all the trucks washed? Do we all have uniforms? Just that consistency. So people like consistency. Kids, they'll watch the same movie over and over again because they know the ending of it. If they take a movie that, like, I'm talking like Nemo. Remember, my nephew just watched Nemo. He knew the ending of it. He didn't want to take the risk to watch something else. It's change, it's difference. This was consistent. Some people will go to the same restaurant, not because it's good. They might have mediocre food, but they keep returning to it because they know it's going to be mediocre. If you've ever been to a place that has awesome food and then really bad food, and all of a sudden it's really good, and then you usually don't come back for a third time. And it's the awesome food, it didn't matter because it wasn't consistent throughout the thing. So that's like one thing I'm working on right now. I want to have more consistency in what we do from everything.
I like that, from your messaging, from your branding. So right now we just did a video shoot. I think this was the first video shoot you've ever done, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about becoming the face of the company. This was something that we had talked about that I think people should hear from you, of what does it mean to be the face of the company and why are you doing video?
To start off, I'm very uncomfortable doing anything on video. I'm a quiet person. I like to sit in the back. I don't like to, I'm not a look at me person, which is fine if you are. It's no big deal. It's just the way we're all different. In the last year, I've been getting more comfortable being uncomfortable, if that makes any sense. Now it's like, hey, this is something new. I'm not comfortable doing it. Not that, when I mean not comfortable, I just feel uneasy and it's not natural to me. But do it, because you're not going to show growth and you're not going to keep moving forward in the direction you want. Now, being the face of the company, back to the question, it was a discussion that you and I had a few weeks or maybe a month or so ago. And he said something that hit me pretty hard, where your job description, I'm the face of the company.
It's in my job description. Is one of them is to be the face of the company. And for me, that means doing social media, public speaking, and video.
So that hit me like, man, he's right. Jack is right about this. I'm not comfortable with it, but it's the right thing to do, and this is what you have to do, like it or not, right? So that's where this whole video came in place, and I feel good about the shoot and everything. But I have a question, for you on your job descriptions for what you do for Ramblin' Jackson. Are there any in your job descriptions that you're uncomfortable with? That you don't, not saying that you don't like to do, but you're like, man, I got to work on this.
Yeah, sure. Well, so like one of them is and people are often surprised to hear this, I don't necessarily want to be on social media. Like I haven't updated my personal Facebook in years. I occasionally post a photo of me and my wife, kind of thing, but like I'm not personally on it because I want to be. I have learned to find joy in doing it, and it's more from hearing when I see my clients at a trade show, hey, I really enjoyed that video I made. It made me think about this, and that really helped me. So that's more of a motivator to me than being on social media for the sake of it. So the being the face of the company, I needed to put it in my job description because I was at a similar point in my business where I knew I needed to grow, and part of it meant I needed to hire more people, and I needed to be able to pay them way more than I was, and I needed to make way more money. So it wasn't just the money, but it was like all of these things are related. Like I needed better clients, and I wanted to be able to hire and retain my employees, and that meant that someone needed to be the face of the company. And so that was how I found the motivation to do it. One of the other key accountabilities is understanding the company financials. It doesn't mean that I'm personally entering the data into QuickBooks, or our cash flow spreadsheet, but I need to be able to understand it and make decisions. And I have employees, I've lost track in how many states I currently have employees, but over 5 states. And employment law is a state issue. So I need to understand how to manage my HR company to comprehend state law, state employment law enough to participate in the hiring, retaining, and firing of employees in different states. And have you ever had an employee in California? It's like a different country. It's like it might as well be China.
My brother did work for a company, and it was based working in Detroit, but based out of California, and the rules that were completely different.
So that is work that is excruciating. You know, I think I'm going to write a chapter of my book, but then I get an email from my accountant that this state law changed in California, and because that happened, it changes the employment law for all of the other 5 states. And then just as I'm starting to comprehend that after spending a couple hours, sometimes, well, this judge struck down this change, and so now that's not happening in California, and so now my employee in Nebraska doesn't need to change after all. So that is not enjoyable necessarily. But then once I figure it out, I do kind of enjoy it. So there's like this, I found ways to enjoy the things like I would rather not have to deal with state employment law, but because I own a digital agency with a remote team, I need to. So there's certain things like that, whereas like setting the vision of the company is enjoyable, and also one of my accountabilities is culture. And so that comes with difficult people decisions and conversations, because setting the vision of the company means, hey guys, here's where we're taking the company, because I need to do that. That's my job, is say, hey, we're going here. And sometimes people say, well, I want to go over here. And I need to help them understand that, well, here's why we're going here. Here's the opportunity for you. And then sometimes people are like, well, I'm really personally upset that the company is going in this direction. And I'm like, this has nothing to do with you personally. But some people react to it in a way as if it was like a personal attack on them, that you're going in this direction, but I want to do this. And to me, it's just like, well, why don't you go do that? Go do that. Here's where we're going. So there's a lot of conflict inherent to running a business with people, between hiring people, retaining them, and then needing to make decisions about here's where we're going. So that, I think, is something that many people don't realize in running a business. And sometimes they see, well, this guy's really upset at Jack. Jack must have done something to him. Yep. And from my perspective, I'm just like, guys, I'm setting the vision of where we're going, and this person no longer wants to do it. But it's not that I didn't choose to go that way because I don't like this person. Yeah. Does this make any sense?
It totally. So it's basically your core values. You set them; they're set in stone. Right. They're not subjective. These are what our company or your company is built on. And if you're not, and you can have the team that you work with, your employees, come up with your core values too, with some guidance.
I did that, yeah.
And now they have ownership of it. So when it goes, we have these values, and right. You're not falling into this. You're going against what the values that we stand for. That's nothing personal. It's just you're not within the values that we have established.
Right, and so sometimes people have a really good working friendship or rapport with that person who's no longer a fit, and that creates conflict. An example, one of our core values is grow or die. And so there's a lot of change happening right now with AI in how consumers are finding landscape companies. And so I'm not necessarily changing that, but the world is changing. Google has announced that AI mode is the future of Google search, not me. So Google has said, hey, here's what's going on. I need to decide, great. I can either resist it and say, I'm not going to participate in AI mode, but then why would Ryan hire me anymore if I don't help you continue to get found online? So I'm going to say, cool, here's how the market's changing. We're going to go in this direction with AI. We're going to use this tool to create some of our content. And for some people, you were talking about that drive for consistency. Maybe we've been consistently doing things for years in this way. And I need to now, the vision is, hey, here's where we're going, and there's a change, and that feels uncomfortable to some people. And I want to keep people who share grow or die, who are like, cool, I get it. I see how it's changing, and I'm growing, and we're going in that direction with you. But what has happened is some people see the whole change to AI, they're very threatened by it. And then I then become the face of the company, if you will, the face of the AI change, and they feel threatened by it. So then I'm threatening them, but I'm like, it's not really about me at all. It's about our customer and the market, and here's where we need to go.
Adjustment.
So I think that's more of a relevant change for me, but like one change that's happening in the landscape industry is autonomous mowers. Yep. And some people feel really threatened by that. Oh my God, well, we won't need as many crews to mow the lawns.
Another one with us locally is electric. So some townships are going to just an electric-based fleet, basically no gas blowers, whips, and things like that. Well, it's hard to cut 100 acres of grass on a fleet of mowers that need to be charged, and they have a 6-hour run time. And they're getting better with the technology, but change like that, if we're working in, let's say, in Ann Arbor, I believe they have no, and I'm not 100% sure, but it's going the direction of electric. So if you do work in that city, you're going to have to adjust on how you do things. Not that you have to like it, but if you want to do work there, those are the rules they set in place. So, I mean, for us in our industry, the price of those autonomous mowers are pretty high, so we don't, and I'm not sure safety reasons and all that kind of stuff if people are comfortable having those, but with landscaping, you still need people to, install plants and be able to, I don't know, it's not so much autonomous where you need that human interaction and touch to get the job done. Yeah. But I'm trying to think of other challenges that we've run into that are similar, as a business owner. I think, having the right people in place, what are their strengths, put them in the right positions. I mean, that's your job as the face of the business too, right? Mm-hmm. You're right. Let's say, and there's some guys that may not get along super well, and you want to try to manage them properly. If they go against core values, you got to get rid of them. If any of their behaviors of safety, image, or teamwork, they just are not going to work out for you. But managing those guys, one guy that's real quiet, more like a lone wolf, well, I'm going to have him, cut fields, right, where he just wants to keep to himself in a way. That's fine. Other guys that want to work 12-hour days, then they are going to be put on this crew where we've got landscape projects that go from 7 until 7, and we try to manage it that way. Those are the challenges that we have for the most part. But we have a really good team. I mean, we have a great team. That's what,
Well, so where are you headed next with the business? So what are some of your goals?
Well, this sounds kind of funny. First of all, I just came up with, this is embarrassing also, I just came up with job descriptions this last maybe 6 months ago. Because I'd have, you're a weed whip guy, you're a maintenance guy. Well, what's the pay range? What are the responsibilities? I'm like, man, I don't even have any of that done, and I don't have it posted. I've
gone through that phase of business too. It's not, and you're not alone. You'd be amazed how many multi-million-dollar companies don't have some of that stuff that seems really, and then it can cause a world of hurt when you don't have it.
So we put all that in place. Yeah. All right, well, here's a lead crew, here's our industrial crew, here's our landscape crew, here's the foreman, here's project manager. Yeah. I have to have one. Obviously, all that stuff put together. And then just putting all the systems in place where we have consistency. Then the real big goal is, and I don't define growth necessarily as, all right, we're a $1 million company, we're going to go to 2 to 3 to 4, and then what your margin is going to be. You know, is it's low, it's at 10%, or is it, a lot of big companies are even way lower than that. But you know, are we going to increase margins? So my goal, honestly, is to increase the margins and increase growth revenue. But I want good, solid work, safe work, and the growth is not necessarily the dollar amount or and gross revenue. The growth is, have we become better at what we do?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm in a phase right now where we're really working on increasing and maintaining quality as we grow, because it is hard when you start adding more revenue and more customers. I had somebody on my podcast yesterday who told me about a crew that was laying down pulling weeds. They were literally laying down on the ground. That was the low point of their quality. And then they needed to whip things into shape, and they needed to let some managers go because they had some people who were promoted to manager just from tenure. They'd been there, and they weren't really managing the staff to, hey, get up off the ground. Like, what are you doing? Are you laying down? I mean, that would be a fair management question. Hey, why are you laying down right now? You know, and if that person doesn't have a reasonable answer, you should probably fire them in front of everybody and say, hey, thanks, you're fired.
Can't do this.
I mean, because otherwise, if you tolerate people laying down at a job site,
you're only as good. Your whole company is only as good as that person laying down pulling weeds, because you've accepted the behavior, right? You've accepted the behavior that's poor, and even more importantly, what was a safety issue, where someone could get hurt? You know what I mean? Not just quality control, but someone not being able to perform a job where they're doing it safely.
Well, Ryan, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. For folks listening who might want to network with you, how can we connect?
Well, that's a good question. I'm working on that right now, but through our website, we have contact forms there, and our Facebook. But I'm working on, like we talked earlier, about the LinkedIn, and I'm working on all that.
Yeah, like parting comment for folks listening who do commercial and industrial work, LinkedIn is an amazing tool, because a quick parting thing that we did today together was, I was like, hey, have you ever Googled the job description of your ideal customer? You're like, well, I want a plant manager, and you named a company. I'm not going to name who it is, but you knew who it was. And I'm like, well, let's Google plant manager, company name, city. So we Googled it, and sure enough, we found their LinkedIn. And then what did we find on their LinkedIn?
Well, they have other networking people that are.
But we found their personal email address.
Email and
we found the guy's AOL email address. So send the dude a personal email and start a conversation. So I think LinkedIn,
eye-opening for me.
I think LinkedIn for you would be very powerful from a hunting standpoint. Meaning, these industrial clients, they're looking online, but they're also probably not getting a lot of contact from people via email or phone. No. I would email them, I would call them, I would offer to bring them lunch. I would sell your core value of safety and be like, hey, what was the thing that changed that you told me about? It was some new standard for it.
Oh, it was the open and obvious.
The open and obvious slip and fall.
And
hey, are you aware of the recent change in open and obvious slip and fall? And maybe, well, I don't know, tell me more. Well, what we found with several of our clients is X, and I'd love to bring you some lunch and share with you a little more about it. Would you guys be open to having me in for lunch to learn about how you can prevent slip and fall lawsuits at your company?
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. We're at the SIMA show, so there's probably an attorney or someone over there that's actually having that discussion with a lot of snow and ice guys.
Totally, because if your safety is your core value and that's really what they're buying, that's a phone call and an email away.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I didn't realize how LinkedIn was so prevalent, and how you can just research it and get new resources, new contacts, as simple as that. That was surprising.
I find LinkedIn's search function to be just okay. So I actually just search the whole thing on Google. I'll search, company name, job title, LinkedIn. And usually Google's like, here's the LinkedIn profile for somebody with this job title at this company. And then I click on it and I get started that way.
So that was eye-opening for me.
Cool, man. Well, Ryan, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure. Appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Hey everyone, Jack Jostis here. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation with Ryan. And if you did, make sure you like this video and subscribe so you get weekly inspiration to grow your landscape company with sales, marketing, and leadership. And hey, if you want to be like Ryan, if you want to talk to us and get some ideas about who is your hell yes customer and how can you get more of the right leads finding you, let's have a 15-minute marketing brainstorm call. Go ahead and book yours at landscapersguide.com/brainstorm. I've got a link in the show notes, and we'll look forward to talking to you on that call. And now I'll see you in the next video.